Welcome to the Empowering the Hybrid Workforce podcast, where we explore the latest innovations, trends and strategies that are shaping the world of work in this ever-evolving landscape. I'm your host, Andrew Hutchinson, and together we'll dive into the challenges and opportunities organisations are facing, as well as the technologies that are driving the shift towards a more flexible and productive workforce. Join us throughout the series as we talk to experts, business leaders and IT professionals to uncover the secrets behind thriving in the hybrid work environment. So, grab a cup of coffee or tea and let's get started. It seems every organisation in every industry right now is looking to do more with less. I've got my colleague Bjorn with me here today to talk specifically about this subject and to run through some of the thought process and some of the activities that are happening around that topic, and specifically provide a Microsoft lens on that topic. What I find really interesting is do more with less is a phrase that conveys the idea of increasing productivity, efficiency or effectiveness while using fewer resources such as time, money or materials. The concept is often applied in various contexts, including business, technology, but even personal life. It encourages individuals and organisations to optimise their processes, to eliminate waste and to ultimately maximise value. I found it really difficult when we were pulling the content together for this podcast. I found it quite difficult to pinpoint the exact origin of the phrase "do more with less." It's been used in various forms and contexts throughout history. However, what I have found is that one of the earliest documented instances of a similar phrase, so it's not the exact phrase, but a similar phrase, is actually from the British economist William Stanley Jevons. So in 1865, he wrote about something that was later named the Jevons paradox. That suggests that increasing efficiency in the use of a resource might lead to its increased consumption of that resource. I think the phrase "do more with less" became popular, or much more popular, in the latter half of the 20th century as organisations faced economic pressures, resource constraints, but even environmental concerns. The rise of technology runs quite clearly in parallel to the phrasing, and this need for innovation in various industries has also contributed to the phrase's popularity. Whilst it's challenging to determine the exact moment or individual whoever first coined the phrase "do more with less," its enduring popularity is a testament to the value that people do place on efficiency and resourcefulness, and that's what Bjorn's going to talk to us about today. So without further ado, off you go.
Thank you, Andrew, and that was very exciting and interesting to hear how far back this term "do more with less" goes. So if we look at the agenda that we want to talk about here, is obviously in Microsoft 365, "do more with less" has a very specific connotation and purpose. So we look at a few high-value scenarios. As you know, with Microsoft, everything is centered around zero trust. So what are the zero trust foundations we need to consider when taking a "do more with less" approach? The second aspect, of course, this is an end user specific scenario we talk about. So it's all about endpoint management and how end users can leverage their devices most appropriately. And last but not least, it's all about driving productivity and collaboration. And this goes back to 1890 something, as Andrew described. Productivity and collaboration are very important to increase output. So let's together explore a real-world scenario and dive deeper into the "do more with less" using Microsoft 365. So Microsoft and we as Visual, as a Microsoft partner, what we hear from our customers is they have quite a few things on their agenda. It's all about cutting costs and eliminating redundant solutions. It's about getting the best of breed protection and productivity with their tool sets that they're using. And ultimately, they need to deliver simple to use solutions that are designed to work together, because if a solution is simple, it will be utilized. There's more uptake, it will be utilized more, and also there's less error-prone approaches and so on. So have a simple solution is very important. So Microsoft empowers everybody, every organization, to do more with less. And you see here there are lots of different aspects. And if we look at cost comparison, Microsoft 365 brings all of these aspects together. So the weighing up between cost and complexity, we want to obviously reduce cost and also reduce the complexity, and Microsoft 365 allows all of this with all the different products you can see here in this animation. There's quite a lot of cost saving. You saw just about 60%, and it's really forming this one coherent infrastructure to cover all the different aspects. So I said in the beginning, security and zero trust is very important. So how do we secure collaboration? And there are lots of different aspects here. Obviously, we talk about the devices. They need to meet specific job requirements. The operating system in itself needs to be secure and ideally evergreen. If you are interested into hearing more about this, we have a separate podcast that talks more about the modern devices and Windows 365. So that would be worth calling out here. Security. Cyber attacks happen probably every, couple of minutes across the globe, and security is very important to defend against those cyber attacks across multiple platforms that are used today. Management is very important. Gaining and retaining control over your environment that you have is very important, and management comprises, of course, everything. It's the devices, the entire estate, including personal devices as well. And then collaboration. Every employee needs to be able to collaborate to ultimately gain more, become more productive. And we want to eliminate redundant solutions, and all of this, as you see, touches on those 5 points. Establishing zero trust foundations, very important. Simplified endpoint management and driving productivity and collaboration are our 3 key themes here. So taking this to the next level, what does that mean for devices? We have obviously Surface devices which are designed for more productivity with that in mind. Windows 11 Enterprise as the key operating system, the most modern operating system you can have. For security, it starts really with Azure Active Directory as your key identity solution, Windows Defender for endpoint, and actually the wider Defender suite, and Microsoft Purview for information protection. Management, of course, using Microsoft Intune, which can manage not just your Windows device estate, but all mobile devices as well. Together with that, we have Windows Auto Patch and Universal Print, really good cloud solutions for all aspects of management capabilities. And then obviously for collaboration, don't need to mention this, but Microsoft Teams, obviously, together with the other Microsoft 365 apps that work together in unison. So on the 3 key themes that we talked about, zero trust, simplified endpoint management, and productivity and collaboration, what's that typical path to reach this secure collaboration end state? So obviously we need to start with user identities, securing and managing those, then defending against threats on multiple platforms. I already mentioned the Defender for endpoint and the wider Defender suite, all the way to Defender for IoT even. Protecting data, so protecting sensitive information across the entire data estate, and then going further along. So you see, we talk about the devices, obviously delivering a good experience with Windows 11, deploying the endpoint from the cloud. So Windows 365 is here to mention. Again, if you're interested, we have a separate podcast for that. And then the next step is improving the support and reduce incidents. And all of this you can achieve by having a modern device estate and modern management for your identities and data, of course. So now we talk about driving and enhancing and increasing productivity and collaboration. So getting everybody connected to working together, leveraging Office 365, Microsoft Teams and the apps. And that then means you are enabling new patterns of work. People can work at any time of day. They can work from any device, wherever they are. and really make, with the likes of Microsoft Teams, improve the way they work and collaborate. Microsoft Teams obviously as a single point of glass for most of the activities that you do in your day job, and then engaging and empowering your employees, the likes of Viva Engage, what was known as Yammer, and other products to really enhance productivity and collaboration. So going back to the zero trust approach and security, we already talked about on this journey secure and managing identities. So again, identities, Microsoft Azure Active Directory is important here. Defending against threats on multiple platforms, the Defender for Endpoint and Microsoft Intune, and then Microsoft Purview information protection to protect the data. Managing identities is very important because the identity is what makes entry and access to not just buildings but all the data and the wider infrastructure that you have. So enabling a strong authentication is key, and one of the key aspects here is to leverage conditional access policies. Are you on a trusted device? Are you on a trusted location? And also things like, are you using multi-factor authentication? That should be the norm for all administrative accounts, but also using MFA for scenarios where you, for example, work from home and are not on your trusted device, then to enforce multi-factor authentication, just to make sure it's really you who is logging onto the environment. Wherever you can, you should enable and facilitate single sign logon, because it's the most secure way for applications to pass through already legitimized credentials, and single sign-on will achieve that. And you can really roll this out and make that available across your entire app estate. Perform continuous access evaluation. Nobody needs to be in a situation that you have global admin access all the time. So it's about elevating the access as and when you need it. It gives end users the reassurance that, okay, I don't always carry the burden of having this golden access with me around, but really that access is only elevated when it's required. So again, how do we do all of these things? Ideally, you want to leverage cloud identities for Azure Active Directory, and for endpoints we use Intune and Azure AD again. And as you see here, both of those informations, the identity and the device information, is being fed into the conditional access policy engine. The relevant policy will be evaluated, and with that comes the output is how great the risk is for this logon event to carry on, and the outcome is multifold. So you can either say, okay, if it's a trusted user and a trusted device in a trusted location, we allow access, or could be a trusted user on a personal device, then we might require MFA, or we don't require MFA, but we limit access. You can only access the documents that are stored in SharePoint and you can't download them further, or we deem this as a risky logon scenario and we force a password reset, or we deny the access altogether. So all these different outcomes you can define in conditional access policies, which are being evaluated, and then action can be taken. Depending on the licensing model, you can even enforce this automatically. If you have a lower grade license, you can do things manually, but regardless, worth mentioning that the capabilities here really give you a very good security posture. So defending against threats across all your endpoints, it's important to appreciate that with Microsoft 365 and Intune, you can really manage all kinds of devices. If it's iOS, Android, Linux, Mac OS, or the Windows devices, all of them are covered and can be managed. We leverage leading anti-malware capabilities within the ecosystem, and we're reducing the attack surface, for example, capabilities to harden devices and prevent zero-day attacks. If you want to know more about security, we obviously have a separate podcast on that as well. And as we mentioned on the previous section, we enable device-based conditional access for an additional layer of data protection and breach prevention. So to look at this again in more detail, protecting sensitive information across your data estate, user encryption, which is built into Microsoft 365. Data is encrypted at rest, in transit and in use. Discover and classify sensitive content, which is really easy and built in and enabled in all the Office products. So if it's a Word document or an email or any other kind of content, you have the labeling classification capabilities there, and with those come the capabilities to not just to classify but also to encrypt content further. Preventing accidental sharing of sensitive information is also a capability, and really again helping end users to improve and give them more confidence in the products that they're using. And preserving content by custodian and send hold notifications. So again, data is preserved. You can put it into hold or legal hold, as some might know this. So great capabilities here for protecting your data. So if we now go a bit further, there is Microsoft have released a video which we're not showing here, but it's a video about Go Beyond with Microsoft Purview. The Purview capabilities I will discuss in more detail.
This video summarizes the
When we look at the total economic impact for leveraging Microsoft 365 E3, it's quite impressive to look at the stats that come with it. So leveraging the product suite reduces the likelihood of a data breach by 35%. So if your organization isn't already using Microsoft 365 E3 or maybe even E5, that's worth considering. The value of reduced risk over 3 years, you can see here, for a typical organization is well over $1 million. Obviously, it depends on the size of organization, but the credentials nonetheless remain. For organizations in the UK, if you have a data breach, you need to inform the Information Commissioner's Office, and there is a penalty and a fine associated with any data breach, and it all can be avoided if you use the right tool set. So some customers where we have statements here, which is also available on the Microsoft website. It's quite interesting to see here the head of cloud security made a comment there. Here we've got a director of corporate IT. There's a service owner. So through all the parts of an organization, the benefits are recognized and felt. So yeah, it's very, very important to take these into consideration. Simplified endpoint management. We talked about this earlier. Devices play a very crucial part in any kind of zero trust consideration, and more so if it's about your own devices. So BYO, bring your own device. Best experience can be achieved with Windows 11, and Windows 11 can be deployed an endpoint from the cloud and improve the support and reduce incidents. So Windows 11 has something called App Assure and also a test base with it. So overall, it's a new approach of delivering the Windows experience, and yeah, really worth looking into. Windows Autopilot, that exists for quite a few years now. Windows Autopilot is the mechanism to deploy the Windows image onto the device without any further user interaction as the device is deployed. So end users can just get the device shipped to them, they log on, and the image is automatically installed to the user. So endpoint analytics, universal print, and organizational messages, we already mentioned those earlier, again help overall as part of the managing of the overall ecosystem. Here's some more useful information on Windows 11. Windows 11, if you take the image here on the right hand side, it's very important to understand that Windows 11 is built obviously based around the correct hardware profile, so Windows Surface devices, but other devices as well, taking the hardware layer into consideration, then the operating system, and then the applications on top. But most environments would stop there. Microsoft then take this further to say, okay, we overlay the identity and privacy and then make the whole thing available in the cloud, and that is your Windows 365 experience. So upgrading to Windows 11 is a recommended approach. Again, that's something we regularly do as Visual, and it really helps and empowers a flexible work style and uses enhanced accessibility features. So again, Windows 11 is not just a new version, but comes with a lot of new, not just security, but also accessibility features. Deploying to virtually any endpoint from the cloud means you can ship a new device directly to the employee with the autopilot image at the ready in your cloud, managed through Intune, and then the device receives the image as you log on. There's zero touch for IT required, and it could be any device. It could be also mobile devices, bring your own device, and personal devices. So it's all a very seamless approach. What it means is we automate quality and feature updates as well using Windows Auto Patch. Again, that's only available now with Windows 11. And ultimately, we drive quality and control quality, driver feature updates tailored for individual custom compliance policies. So the key features here are Windows Autopilot, Windows Auto Patch, and Microsoft Intune. And going further now to the Endpoint Manager, which was called Intune, it's now called Endpoint Manager. And as you see here, a very modern console to understand are there any issues. If I need to deliver a message onto the device, or maybe all the devices, we can do this. In Endpoint Manager, you also manage now the printers to cloud infrastructure, and again, provisioning Windows 11 with Cloud PC, so Windows 365 is also delivered through that method. Furthermore, on the endpoint analytics, so it gives you very clear information. For example, if software requires an update or needs the device to be connected with remote workers to perform any updates or so on. Other insights to optimize the PC startup performance, all really helping end users to get a better experience, and also giving you other proactive recommendations for any to detect and fix any common support issues before employees notice. So suddenly we are moving into this proactive management and a predictive maintenance, which probably has never been seen before in a Windows support environment. So here's a little bit more detail on Windows Auto Patch. Again, as part of the new Windows 11 experience, really useful to receive patches for key security updates or functional updates automatically managed through the Windows Endpoint Management Suite. As soon as you enroll one of your Office 365 tenants, you have the devices managed and registered, and then you can drive the full-blown release management and also deliver, receive some reporting on the capabilities there. Managing devices with Microsoft Intune, or as it's now called, Endpoint Manager, has never been easier. We already talked about this. You can manage all kinds of devices, anything from, of course, Windows devices, iOS, Android devices, Mac OS devices. All of them can be managed from one single pane of glass there, and yeah, really useful to do that. Looking again at the total economic impact with a slightly different view now on endpoint management, reduce spending on employee devices through bring your own device models reduces your spend by approximately 23%. Reduce time spent on deploying and managing new software through Intune, 25%. Decreased endpoint configuration, 75%, and I think this is really speaking for itself here. The fact that endpoint devices don't need to be configured to that degree anymore. This is where the majority of time saving can be achieved. And ultimately eliminating help desk tickets and resolution through self-service password reset, but also the proactive capabilities that we called out before. The last section now, productivity and collaboration. So we talked about getting everybody connected and working together, leveraging Microsoft Teams, enabling new patterns of work, again, the new capabilities of the Office platform, and most recently things like Microsoft Loop, which is a great product. And even in all the Office products, we now have Microsoft Copilot, which is a new capability. So again, you see how productivity and collaboration is really taking to the next level with all these capabilities. Here for engaging and empowering employees, the set of Viva products, Viva Connections, Viva Insight, Viva Learning, and Viva Engage, which was known as Yammer up until recently. So all the Viva products, we have a separate podcast on the Viva products as an overview. So if you are interested, we put the link in the details as well. So with productivity and collaboration, it's really to make work life a lot easier with, you see here we have tasks and notes that are automatically captured in a Teams meeting, and it really is there to connect and empower everyone as part of your workforce, designed for all types of workers. So if it's a frontline worker or somebody in the back office, doesn't matter, they can all now collaborate very effectively together. It's all about chat, meet, collaborate, brainstorm with no boundaries there, and helping ensure participants can be seen, heard, and participate from everywhere. With the new patterns of work, we also want to call out that we want people to focus on the things they need doing. People in the past have spent far too much time in meetings, so the desire is here to attend fewer meetings, rewire creative workflows with always up-to-date Loop components. So this is the Loop capability you see here on the screenshot. And also really make life easier, getting real-time translation of meetings and also getting live captions, streamline business workflows with collaboration apps, but also automating further your business processes, for example, using Power Automate in the Power Platform. And to engage and empower your employees, so connecting with employees, especially the frontline workers, is hugely important, because the workforce need to be engaged in times of hybrid working or working remotely or from home. It's important to get connected and stay connected with all the workforce, with all the employees. And also learning is very important, so putting learning into the flow of work, which is now a capability with Microsoft Viva Learn. And then ultimately engage employees across the group with easy to create and host town halls, company meetings, and so on. So all our different products from the Viva suite, again, don't forget that Yammer is now called Viva Engage, all of these products are available and helping you to engage and empower your employees. So the modern desktop looks slightly different than we would have imagined maybe 5 or 10 years ago. So the whiteboard that you see here is now a whiteboard on your screen as well. You don't have a desk phone anymore. You don't have a calendar anymore. Everything is now embedded on your device, and it's really finding a way to transform the way you're working and enabling your workforce to achieve more with less. And with that, I want to close this session and hope it was very useful.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bjorn. Much appreciated. So, I guess if I close us out, I think in conclusion, I'm going to try and do this justice. I think in conclusion, the concept of do more with less has become increasingly relevant in today's world. From the Jevons paradox that I mentioned at the start to the Pareto principle, if anyone's heard of that, the idea of 80-20 or the 80-20 law as it's also referred to. There's various ideas and theories that offer valuable insight into the complexities of efficiencies and resourcefulness. I think the practical implications of what Bjorn's just taken us through, borrow from things like lean methodology, borrow things from minimalism and frugal innovation and things like that. But ultimately, I think the key thing that we're seeing here is there's lots and lots of value in the concept of do more with less, and Microsoft are investing heavily in enabling that for the workforce. I think embracing do more with less and the do more with less philosophy can really help individuals and organizations optimize their processes, reduce their waste, and then promote sustainable practices, but also still while maximizing value and effectiveness. So just in closing, really, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to this episode of the Empowering the Hybrid Workforce podcast. We hope that you found today's discussion insightful and inspiring. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing. And don't forget to share with your friends and colleagues. We'd love to hear about your thoughts and your feedback. So please connect with us on social media, leave us a review. And don't forget, all of these podcasts will be up on our socials. So until next time, keep embracing the hybrid work environment and discovering new ways to empower your workforce. I've been your host, Andrew Hutchinson. Thank you, Bjorn.
Thank you very much.
Signing off.